I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroid disease when I was 8 years old. Like many of you, I was put on medication and sent on my merry way to continue taking Synthroid forever. Well, as you know, the story doesn't end there. I continued to gain weight, continued to have problems with digestion, anxiety, and then the depression set in. This was during my teenage years. And I was struggling with a lot of strep throat infections that would get better with antibiotics and then would come back as soon as I stopped. So during my eighth grade year, I only went to 24 days of school. That's because I would get strep throat, have to quarantine because back in those days, they made you stay home for a couple of days, take the antibiotic, get off the antibiotic, go back to school for 1 or 2 days, get strep throat again. It was a very depressing time in my life because I was isolated from my friends and my school and my learning. And this was before they had internet Zoom. So, yes, it was a very hard time. I remember once as a teenager sitting in my doctor's office and he walked in, looked at me, said, "Well, you have strep again, but I think it's because you're depressed." I remember laughing and my mom sitting there with me and saying, "She has an infection." And he said, "Yeah, so here's an antidepressant. Let's work on that." It was the most demoralizing event of my life. And that was the first time it happened. It's happened dozens of times since then. I've gone to doctors asking and begging for help with my thyroid, which the numbers were actually off. And doctors brush it off and say, "No, I think this actually is a depression problem. Here's some Ativan or Lexapro. Why don't you try Zoloft? Here's some Wellbutrin." I've had the entire gamut prescribed to me. Now, since I have learned and worked in nutrition and got my master's degree in nutrition, I learned that actually, yeah, I was depressed, but it was the infection that was causing the depression. So the Wellbutrin, Lexapro, Zoloft, they never would have helped for my circumstance. And this is true for a lot of women with thyroid disease. When you have a sneaky infection anywhere in your body, but specifically in the gut, it will cause your amino acids. So, those are the proteins that are used to make the thyroid hormone. Specifically, I want to talk about tyrosine today. So, tyrosine is needed to make thyroid hormone. It's 4 iodine molecules and a tyrosine bound together like this. So, when you have a sneaky infection, it will actually hijack that tyrosine molecule so you can't produce the thyroid hormone. Hmm. Well, that will cause issues with weight gain and headaches and digestive upset and hair loss and cold hands and feet and all of the annoying things that we experience. However, that tyrosine molecule is also needed to produce dopamine. And that is the neurotransmitter that keeps us from being depressed. So, yes, you can end up depressed when you have thyroid disease, but the depression is simply a symptom. So, if you're struggling with this, if you're finding that you just can't get motivated, if you're having problems with cravings or you're having the will to get out of bed in the morning, if you're extremely tired, that is highly linked to dopamine production, which is probably being hijacked by a sneaky little infection in your gut. I like the organic acids test because it will tell us how your dopamine's being produced. It'll tell us how your serotonin's being produced. Those two neurotransmitters are what keep us balanced and motivated and feeling good. And the secret of all of this is that generally, whatever is causing your neurotransmitter production to be low is also causing your thyroid to not work. So we fix one and we fix the other. You can learn more about the organic acids test in my masterclass. I'll drop the link for you to learn more about it. But it is a very simple urine test, comes to your door, pee in a cup, send it back. And from that, we can find out why you're experiencing depression because you should not live like this and we can fix it. So check out the link. Let me know what questions you have and let's get you back on track.